again. Welcome to ManageEngine Firewall Analyzers Free Training Part 2. Let me introduce myself. I'm Shweta Suresh, your presenter for this session and a subject matter expert in enterprise security management. Along with me, there is an amazing set of tech team to answer your questions in the Q&A section throughout this webinar. Before we get into the details, let me give you a quick overview of today's agenda. We are going to start by addressing an important question. Why is log monitoring essential? And why should you choose Firewall Analyzer? Then we'll move on to cover the basics of Firewall Analyzer, including how to fetch firewall logs and the types of report it generates. After that, we'll take a closer look at different report types, like the VPN reports, traffic reports, security reports, as well as custom and search reports. Lastly, we will wrap by exploring the alarm notification features and how to configure alarms for various triggers. So now, why log monitoring and why Firewall Analyzer? Let's understand the network security landscape a better. Network security landscape is constantly evolving, and security teams are working tirelessly to keep up. Whether it is installing IDS, IPS, proxies, or even VPNs alongside firewalls, new security tools are being added all the time. Yet, cyber criminals are adapting and finding new ways to breach networks. This brings us to a critical realization that simply adding more tools is not enough to safeguard a network from threats. So what we really need is a tool that monitors all our security devices, identifies internal and external threats, and does all of this in real time. So that's where Firewall Analyzer steps in. So Firewall Analyzer is a comprehensive log, policy, and configuration monitoring tool that has a major focus on log analysis. In log analysis, it offers a wide range of features from generating detailed log reports that can track security and traffic logs, providing real-time alarm notifications and alarm management feature for security and bandwidth anomalies. It also includes inventory reports for each firewall device added, along with their performance metrics. Firewall Analyzer offers intelligent rule management for optimizing firewall rules. Configuration monitoring and backup features ensure that any changes to your configuration are tracked and backups can be restored in case of emergencies. Plus, its compliance management feature helps you to spot misconfigurations with pre-built compliance reports. In today's session, we'll discuss in detail about log analysis, alarm management, and inventory reports. Last week, we explored rule management, configuration monitoring, and backup, and compliance management in detail. If you missed that session, we'll send you a link to the recording so you can catch up with us. So now, let's look at how to fetch firewall logs into Firewall Analyzer. The first step is installing the software. You can find the installation requirements on our website, or if you prefer, just let us know in the chat and we'll send them to you directly. Once installed, you will need to figure your firewall to send syslogs to the default UDP port, that is 1514. And if that port is not available, you can always use an alternative free port. And there are three methods to set up the firelog and to export syslogs. So first one is by sending the syslogs to the default 1514 port. And the next one is importing them through files. And the third one is to manually add a device without any syslog details. So these steps were covered in last week's sessions, and you can revisit them through the recording, or you can always visit our online demo tool at demo.fwanalyzer.com. Shortly, I'll also cover a few features in the demo tool. So once the syslogs are received, Firewall Analyzer begins generating various reports. So it can include VPN reports, which will assist with VPN bandwidth monitoring and planning active sessions. Firewall reports, which combine security and traffic data. It provides insights into firewall's performance. The dashboard and inventory reports, which will give you a high level overview of the connected firewall devices. And then we have the proxy report, which will cover the Squid proxy servers. You can also create custom reports to suit your specific needs, and you can schedule these reports to be emailed directly to you. Finally, for forensic analysis, we have the search report that will allow raw and aggregated searches. And I will cover each of these reports in detail in the following presentation. So let's talk about remote work. Since the pandemic began in 2020, the shift to hybrid work environments has posed new challenges, particularly in managing VPN security and bandwidth. Throughout today's session, we'll address these challenges wherever applicable, focusing on VPN infrastructure security and bandwidth management. So to make things more relatable, let's take real-life scenarios, for example. So for those who have attended our Part 1 training, you all know Jim. For those who are new here, let me reintroduce Jim. He is an imaginary security admin who's working at a company that has recently adopted a hybrid work model. So now, Jim's company is facing several network security challenges, and we'll explore how Firewall Analyzer helps him tackle these issues, especially related to security and bandwidth in their VPN setup. For many organizations, VPNs are essential for enabling remote work. However, without proper monitoring, VPN connections can introduce security vulnerabilities. Firewall Analyzer generates comprehensive VPN reports, helping admins to track VPN traffic usage. It can monitor active sessions and identify trends in VPN consumption. So let me take you to the product UI to give a quick glance of this. Here we have, so for this we go to reports, and under VPN reports, yes, let's choose a device. You can choose one device. For this demonstration, I'm choosing all devices and the time frame as last 30 days. So once the data is being populated, this is the VPN report, which has the active VPN sessions. And there are also other sub-reports like the VPN overview, top users, and VPN trend analysis report. So let me explain each of this with the use case. So for that, let me take you back to the presentation. And yes, so let's see how these reports are helping Jim. Jim, in his first task, he needs to identify which users are currently logged into the VPN. For this, he needs to perform an analysis of all users currently logged into the VPN. This is especially useful to check if the employees are logged into secure connections and to monitor their activity status. So to do this in Firewall Analyzer, to do this under Firewall Analyzer, we go to VPN reports, and under VPN reports, we have this active VPN user section. So here is where you will see all the currently active users along with the details like assigned IP addresses, start times, and the firewall device through which the VPN was accessed. So Jim can also schedule these reports to be sent to his either colleagues or upper management by selecting the schedule icon. So for the same, let's create a report profile. So for this, let me give it as a new report. And then I want all of these devices. So let me click on next. And I'm choosing the CSV file. And I'm choosing a monthly report. And I want this report to be generated on 5th of every month. And I'm clicking on next. And I'm enabling the mail notification. I'm also giving a test mail ID to which it has to be sent. And I'm including report name and the generated time in the subject. And I'm clicking on save. So once you have saved, you can now see the new report here. So this will be listed under the report profiles, and you can always edit this or you can always view this report here. And now that has been scheduled, we go back to the VPN reports. Yes. And we again choose all devices for the time frame of what we chose last time, last 30 days. So if Jim wants this as a single instance, he can always choose to either download this as a PDF, CSV file, or an Excel file, and this will be shared in his download folder. This concludes Jim's first task. Now going back to the presentation, we have the second task, which is to submit a detailed VPN activity report on all users. So this includes both the active and the passive sessions. The management also wants this to be sent to them weekly. So let's see how Jim can achieve this using Firewall Analyzer. So let me take you back to the product. And under reports and VPN reports, we go to VPN session report. So what you see here is slightly different from what we saw in the previous active VPN users option. In active VPN users, we can only see the users who are currently active. But in this VPN sessions report, we can see all the users who have connected and disconnected in the past as well. So the green indication denotes that the user is currently connected, and the gray one denotes that the user is inactive, means they have already ended their session. So if Jim wants to have this scheduled weekly or sent to anyone as a single mail, he just have to click on the respective icons here. So if he has to schedule, all he has to do is choose a relevant option and have a profile name. The only thing he'll change is instead of selecting monthly like the last time, he'll choose a weekly one and do the similar process again, and we'll create a report file which will be sent in the mentioned time interval. So that's how Jim will complete his second task. So now going back to the presentation, we saw that a majority of the employees are joining using the VPN network, and it becomes extremely important to plan and allocate the bandwidth consumption. If a single employee consumes all the bandwidth, it will slow down the work or experience for the other employees. Hence, as a third task, Jim has been asked to identify which employee accesses the VPN the most, and the company also wants him to find the usage trend. So this means the organization wants more details on the VPN user activity and connection trends. So let's look at how Jim does this using Firewall Analyzer. So let's go to VPN reports again. And under VPN reports, there's something called top users. So here you get a list of all users and how many times they have been connected, how much data they have consumed, and the duration in which this data was consumed. With this, Jim gets a clear understanding of the top users, and again, all the details of how much time they have consumed, the bandwidth they have consumed, and Jim can also use different visualizations here just by clicking the respective icons here. So this is for an easier understanding of the data. And now if Jim wants to have this as a report, he simply has to click on the email option and it will be sent to his inbox. And if he clicks one of the formats for downloading, a PDF, CSV, or an Excel file, it will be sent to his download folder. With that, Jim is again successful in his task. And now, moving on to the next use case, Jim's fourth task is to identify the active VPN connection count for a specific firewall. So why is he doing this task? Because like most devices offer only a very limited number of VPN connections, and the cost of operation for the company goes higher as the number of VPN connection increases. So hence it is critical for the organization in which Jim is working to plan the VPN capacity properly. If they are going to purchase more, it is going to result in excess IT spend. Or if they're going to purchase less, it is going to affect the performance and productivity. So let's see how Jim does this using Firewall Analyzer. So to access these reports, again, we go to VPN reports and we go to VPN overview. So here we have VPN overview. For example, if you have here, I have selected all devices. Let's say I will select my Cisco firewall. So the maximum number of active session is currently 8. Say for example, if the planned maximum connection is only 4, this 8 active connections become a huge problem, which means that more people are active than the planned capacity. So with this report, Jim can clearly understand how many connections his company needs to have an seamless VPN experience. So that completes Jim's fourth task. Now going back to the presentation. So the next task for Jim is to identify the failed VPN login attempts. In Jim's company, many employees are complaining that they are having login issues, and Jim has been asked to reach out to them proactively and fix the failed logins so that the productivity will be improved. And also, we have seen that his company has adopted a hybrid model, and some people are working from home, which means that there is a risk that Wi-Fi's could be taken advantage of, or that a hacker or an attacker could use VPN as a loophole to enter the network. With this information, Jim can see how many times people have tried to log in, if there are any extreme anomalies, and he can contact them and ensure that the issue is fixed. So let's see this in the working. So to access this report again under VPN reports, we again go to VPN reports. So for this demonstration, I've simulated my data from Cisco and FortiGate devices. So now let me choose FortiGate. Yes. So here you can see that Johnny has 1,184 attempts, and which is not quite the usual. So Jim can contact Johnny and help with this issue, make sure it is sorted for Johnny, and if any other user is facing the same issue, or he can also investigate if there are any security concerns and rectify the same so that his organization's network is protected. So with this, Jim successfully finishes his fifth task. Now let's look at his next task. So from the previous cases, we come to understand that many employees are accessing the company's network via VPN. So this time, he has been tasked with getting a daily, weekly, and monthly trend report on active connections, because it is important for the company to identify which are the company's busiest hours and the leanest hours so that they can plan their VPN infrastructure accordingly. So let's go back to the UI and see how Firewall Analyzer can help. So under VPN reports, we'll go to VPN trend report. Here you get the data for the last 24 hours, 7 days, 30 days, and for a year. With this, you can clearly identify the VPN request trends. For example, in the 24-hour window, if you can see, there is a spike at 7 a.m. and it gradually dropped down to 30 at 11 p.m. So 11, around 11 p.m., 10 to 11 p.m. might be the leanest hours for Jim's company, and around 7 p.m. or 7 a.m. or 10 a.m. might be the busiest hour. By understanding these trends on a monthly basis, Jim's company can plan capacity accordingly so that no one is forced out of their VPN network. So with that, Jim's task and the entire of VPN reports come to an end. So now going back to the slide, the next one on my slide is firewall reports. So firewall reports can be classified into two. One is security analytics and the next one is traffic analytics. So first, I will be covering the security analytics in detail. So now let's discuss why security analytics is important in this era of hybrid and work from anywhere culture. So far, employees have highly relied on office networks, security devices, and there was a strict adherence to security policies for protection. So even when there were attackers who are attempting to breach the company's network, and there were swift remediations that were done by the IT admins so that the enterprise security stayed secure. However, with the rise of remote work, this protection has weakened. Hackers have adapted quickly targeting remote employees as the vulnerable entry points to gain access to critical enterprise data. So therefore, it is very crucial to monitor security logs for any anomalies or disturbances. So Firewall Analyzer offers the security reports, which includes attack reports and virus reports, insights into top security events, detection of any irregularities. It also highlights top spam generators, and it also tracks failed login attempts for easier review. Let's explore how this appears in the product UI. So under reports, we go to firewall reports. And then we'll pull the data for all devices for the last quarter. So as mentioned earlier, firewall reports include both traffic and security details. So here you can see all the traffic reports, and if you're scrolling down, you will find the security reports. So for security, we have an overview report. And apart from that, we also have a virus report, attack report, spam report, and event trends report. So these reports will help you understand and will help Jim understand what are the security issues that are happening, which destination or the host is affected, or if there is any specific IP address or protocol is used for an attack. So all these information are available in these security reports. So let me show this as a use case. So Jim's company has seen an increase in attacks, especially since the employees are no longer working only from the office. So this has raised the company's network security risks. Jim's company needs to know which protocol that the hackers are using the most to get in. So they want him to create a list of attacks so that they can take steps to prevent them. So let's look at how Jim is identifying this. So we go to firewall reports, and to understand which protocol that they're using for attacks, let's go to attack report. So here you can see the top protocols used by the attacks. So as per the data here, you can see the TCP and the SNMP protocols are used by the attackers for 60 and 45 attempts to get into the network. So to get more information, Jim just has to simply click on it, and he'll be taken to a detailed window where all the data related to this particular attack is drilled down and is available to him. So with this data, Jim and we can clearly understand what protocols are being used by hackers to mount attacks, so which will be beneficial for carrying out any measures in the future for the company. And that concludes security reports. Now let's discuss traffic analytics. So this is the second part of the firewall reports. This section provides detailed traffic usage reports for various protocols, applications, cloud services, as well as internet and intranet traffic. So you will also find trend reports for different traffics and event. So let's check this out in the product UI. So I'll take you back. So we scroll down, we have the traffic report. Here you have all the traffic data, and in addition to the traffic data in the first section, apart from this particular report, we also have protocol usage report, web usage report, mail usage report, and so on. So now with the top users report in the traffic report, so we have the top users report. Yes, it is here. So with this report, Jim can easily identify if there are any traffic issues or if there is any specific user who is consuming all the bandwidth. So if you look here, there is an unknown user who has a highest number of hits, and this number is not a usual number. So if this is the case and it is out of the ordinary, Jim can directly contact the user if the user is known, and understand why the usage has spiked during this particular period. So those things can be done using the traffic analytics. So that is pretty much about traffic analytics. Let's go back to the deck. And let's take a look at the dashboard and inventory reports. So let me first start with the dashboard. So the dashboard gives you a summary of everything. So it includes an overview of firewall traffic. It has the security statistics and system performance. So apart from that, we'll also find the live traffic report, VPN reports, user reports, cloud service reports, and the rule reports. So let me guide you through the product to show how dashboard works. So to get to the dashboard, just click on the dashboard button in the top left corner, and we have the firewall summary. So the firewall summary gives you a quick look at all the traffic and security statistics. So you can see all the traffic and security statistics that is applicable for the particular firewalls here. And then we have the system performance report, which shows you the CPU usage, disk space, logs per second, and your database connections and thread counts. So in addition to these two overview reports, we also have a live traffic report. So this displays real-time traffic data from individual firewalls. So you can also find a cloud control report. So this will show the usage of multiple platforms like social media, business services, and other cloud applications. So you can always change the time frame. Let's see if we have data in here. Yes. So once you change the time, you will be populated with the data. And then we have the user report. So this will give you the list of top users that are who have logged in for the particular period of time. So let me also select time frame. Yes. So once we populate these data, you can have an overview of all of these in this particular dashboard. And we also have options for VPN, rule management, security details, and standards. So to view these, let me take you all to our free online demo, like I said earlier. So this is a free online demo. You can go to demo.fwanalyzer.com and you can try most of Firewall Analyzer's features for yourself. So let me show you the VPN report. So here we go for the VPN report. Yes. So we have the list of active VPN users and it provides details on VPN usage. And then we have the rule management dashboard for different anomalies found in the firewall rules. Then we have the security details, top viruses, top blocked URLs, security event summary, and then we have the compliance standards dashboard for each of the firewall that has been configured here. So that is pretty much about all the predefined dashboards that is available in Firewall Analyzer. So let me take you back to this build. Now let's explore a custom dashboard. So if your organization needs a custom dashboard that doesn't cover in this particular predefined ones, you can always do that. So this is an example custom dashboard that I created. You can always create a new one. So I will name this dashboard as new again. And I can choose the widgets. So basically these are the data sections that you want to see, and I'm choosing few random ones. And here I'm choosing the administrator. You can always limit access to very specific admins. Say if there are 2 admins working, you can always assign which admin should be accessing this particular dashboard and click on create and you will be created. So right now we do not have data populated, but eventually we'll have data populated for these dashboards as well. So the next one is the inventory report. So yes, this report provides information about devices, so showing each firewall device configured in the system. Then all the interfaces that are connected to the devices can be also seen along with users, device rules, etc. So let me show you this in the working. So let's go to inventory report and let's click on inventory option. Here you can see all the devices that are listed, the interfaces that are connected to the list, users who have generated traffic through these lists. Let me choose a different timeline. Yes. And then we also have the rules that they have used and the cloud services that was used. So now let's move on to the next part. Let's put this inventory reports to use using this use case. So in Jim's company, there have been several attacks coming through a single firewall. So Jim needs to gather all the information about these attacks originating from that specific firewall. So to do this, I'll take you back to the product. So under devices, let's say all these attacks are coming from a particular FortiGate firewall. So by selecting that firewall for the past 90 days, okay, let me choose it for the past 90 days. Yes, you can see an overview and summary of its performance. You will also be able to examine the bandwidth used by this firewall and identify the top 10 hosts and destinations, the external sites, and the conversation. Additionally, you can also view the active sites, the applications in use, along with their rule security and VPN information. So in this list, let's particularly look at security. So here you can find the list of most common attacks, the hosts that have been denied access, and the top blocked destinations. And you can also find information about the top spam generators and denied user logons. So with these information, Jim can see where an attack started, where it is happening, and which IP address is having problems. So this will allow him to proactively take steps to address these issues before, therefore, completing his task. All right. So going back, now let's take a look at firewall analyzer's capability of monitoring Squid proxy servers and their syslogs. So with Squid Proxy Server, we can currently monitor and generate URL reports, top users report, website detail reports, and proxy usage report. So let's look at a use case. Suppose Jim has been asked to check if there are any proxy attacks happening in the system. Then if so, they want to find the source of these attacks. So let me take you quickly back to the product and let me go to this build. So under reports, we go to proxy report. And after fetching the data, the firewall analyzer will automatically recognize the proxy server and generate the necessary report. So for any proxy device, you can always view the URL report, the proxy usage report, website details, yes, and the top talkers report. Yes. So to help Jim with this task, let's check the website details report. And in the website details report, let me choose last quarter. Yes. Give it a second for it to load. And if you scroll down, you will find a section called the proxy virus report. This report provides detailed information about all the proxy virus attacks that have occurred, including the host details, the number of attacks, and hit percentages. Once Jim reviews this information, he can block the offending host, or he can also quarantine the specific destination to prevent future attacks. So besides the proxy reports, we also have the country report. So this report shows you which countries received traffic in the last 30 days. Let me choose last 30 days. Yes. So these are the countries that have received traffic in the last 30 days. And if you prefer, you can also have this in the table view. So you can see all the information clearly. So this is about the country reports. And the next one we have is the custom report. So if any of the predefined reports doesn't meet your needs, you can always create your own. So for example, let's say Jim needs to find out which users have logged in through VPN, but he wants to exclude one specific executive from the report. So let's see how Jim can create a custom report using Firewall Analyzer. So for this, under custom reports, we're just going to add, and I'm going to name this as exclusion report 1, and I'm going to select all the devices. You can select if you want it only for the one device, you can also select that. And since we want to exclude one specific executive, I'll check the filter option and I'll add a filter for this. So I'm going to give this filter, I'm going to give this as an X filter, executive filter. And I'm going to make this as an exclude filter. And what I'm going to exclude is, as of now, I just know the IP address for which the particular executive is associated with. So I'm going to give that. So let me give a sample IP address. So if you know any of the other following, maybe a destination or which user or which event you want to exclude, you can give that. And I will click on OK. So now that has been added to my filter list. So the filter I just created will appear here, and I can modify it later if needed using the edit button. So now it's time to customize the widget. You can always select from the predefined widgets, or you can always, select yes and just select the widgets you want to have. So for now, I'm going with the predefined widgets. Or if this is not okay, you can always customize a new report. You can give a report name if you want it based on URL, event, VPN, or rule attack. You can give that. You can choose how your display settings has to be, and choose if you want it to be a pie chart or a graph chart. What is that you want in the x-axis, y-axis, and you also have the table settings. So if you want the user to be in a column or destination, you can select, and once you click on add, those will be added here. So just like we've already added one here, so you can see a new report that has been added. So for now, I'm just selecting a couple of things, and I am enabling schedule, and for the report type, I'm giving it as PDF, and I'm also figuring out the time frame. I want it to be weekly on Sunday. Yes, this works for me. And I'm giving a mail address that it has to be sent to, and report name and generated type. So let me click on save. Yes, so now we can see the exclusion report one that we just created. And you can always edit this, and to view this, you can always view this here. So once we have data, the data will be populated in this particular report. And the new VPN report that we just created will be added to the available set of custom reports. So that is pretty much about the custom reports. The next one, what we are going to see in the presentation, we just saw the custom reports. Now we have the search reports. So the firewall analyzer has two types of searches. The first one is aggregate logs, which will provide information based on specific criteria over a period of time. And the second one is the raw search. This will provide forensic log analysis from multiple activities. So let's consider a use case for these reports. Suppose, say we have a user who is unknown but is consuming all the bandwidth. So Jim has been tasked to generate a report on exactly how much bandwidth this unknown user is consuming and collect other details about him. So let me take you back to the product. Yes. So under search, we go to aggregated search. Yes. So now we can select the devices. So I'm selecting all the 3 devices that is there. And this aggregated search report will reveal how much bandwidth this user has consumed along with other relevant details. So I'm going to choose match the following. Now we know the user's name. So we're going to give user is unknown. So we just want this particular user. All right, so this is for today. We can also choose a time frame. Yes, so we have this unknown user, and here you can find the URL details, all the categories, the allowed categories from that particular user, the denied categories from the particular user, and what rules has been triggered, and the event summary reports for this particular user. So this is how Jim can identify how much bandwidth this particular user has been consuming, and the other details about him. So in addition to this, we have another use case for raw search. So let's say there have been numerous attacks on Jim's network, and with many employees working from home, the network is especially vulnerable to attacks. So Jim has been tasked with identifying the virus attacks occurring in the system. So let me just demonstrate how Jim identifies this using Firewall Analyzer's raw search function. So to access this, we will go to search, and under search, we will go to raw search. So for our requirement here, I'm going to choose the raw virus or attack logs. And I'm going to choose match all of the following. And in the criteria, I'm going to choose probably attack. And attack contains, or probably attack isn't null. So we need all of this. So let me choose a different time frame. Yes. So after hitting generate, you will see a list of all the virus attacks that have occurred in the network, along with the raw logs of the specific events responsible for these attacks. So once the issues are identified, if Jim wants to check the details, he can do that, which will be extremely helpful for his raw forensic log analysis. So that's pretty much about the search reports. So now we have come to the final section. Yes. We have come to the final section of this webinar, and we'll be looking at the alarm notification feature. So this is a highly beneficial feature as it helps Jim identify security events in real time. So in Firewall Analyzer, we can configure three types of alarm profiles. So the first one is a normal alert, which is a real-time alert for a specific activity. The next one is anomaly alert, which is used when you want to notify about an event over a period of time. And finally, we have the threshold or the bandwidth alert, which notifies you when a specific bandwidth threshold is crossed. So you can view all the alarms in the alarm section of the product UI itself. And all these alarms can be notified directly through email, SMS, or you can also configure the tool to run a script when a particular alarm violation happens. So in addition to all these three, we have several other options, and we have the ability to integrate with other tools like ServiceNow, STP Plus. These will allow you to instantly raise a ticket to your agent using these tools. So let me show all of these in the product UI. So before that, let me show you how a alarm window looks. So here we have alarms, active alarms, and all alarms. Simply click on alarm and you can see all of the alarms that have been triggered in the tool. So you get all these details based on severity. So if I want it as a list, so this is the severity. The critical one is the severity. And as you can see here, we have color coded them. So in this particular window, we just have the critical alarms. But usually when there are multiple alarms, then the color code goes as red denotes critical, orange denotes trouble, yellow denotes attention, and purple denotes the service is down. And all the alarms that are triggered are compulsorily color coded because it will help in easier identification. So now for each of these alarms, if you want to be notified through a specific method, you can add that under the notification template. So you go to settings and then others, we go to notification templates. So as you can see, if you click on add, you can see a list of available alarm notification. There is email, SMS, chat, you can log a ticket, or you can create a web alarm, and so on. So to explore all of them in detail by yourself, please check out our free demo tool, which is at demo.fwanalyzer.com. So now let's look at a use case for alarm management. So now, let's say that a company following the hybrid model in which Jim is working is experiencing significant ARP attacks. Large number of ARP attacks are happening, and the company wants Jim to identify these attacks at the very inception. Hence, they have asked Jim to set an alarm notification when 5 ARP attack occurs within a span of 10 minutes. So let's see how Jim uses Firewall Analyzer to configure that. So for this, go to settings, into others, in alarm profiles. Now create ad. So let me give this as ARP alarm. So this is a normal alarm. I'm selecting all the devices and I'm going to have a defined alert criteria. I'm going to have a custom criteria. And the criteria is, probably a virus or attack which contains ARP. So I'm going to set, so alert for every 5 events generated in 10 minutes. This is what we are aiming for. And I'm enabling notification. So what kind of notification I want? I'm choosing email based notification, and there is already a template in place. So I'm adding that and I'm going to click on save. So now you can see the ARP alarm which has been created and it has been listed under alarm profiles. So this is how Jim will be creating an alarm profile for 5 ARP attacks that are happening in a span of 10 minutes. So let me take you back to the deck. And now let's consider the final use case. Let's say it has been noted that a specific user has been consuming a large portion of bandwidth, and the VPN bandwidth availability is constrained due to the limited resources within the company. Say, for example, an employee is like probably named John, is probably watching YouTube, just watching movies, and the company wants to restrict John's usage of YouTube. So they asked Jim to set an alarm profile to monitor John's threshold and trigger an alert when it is crossed. Let's see how Jim is doing that. So again, on alarm profile, we click on add. So probably I'll give this as John alarm. And I'm going, this is an anomaly. I've selected anomaly since this alert is based on a period of time. So I'm going to go with the predefined alert criteria. So what I know is the user is John. You can select the source country or the destination country if that is required. And now I'm going to set the threshold to alert me when John exceeds 1 GB in 1 hour. So I can assign an owner. Here I'm going with the current admin. So again, I'm enabling notification. I'm choosing an email notification and a already pre-existing template. So now you can see John alarm here. So we can see the John alarm that we just configured. But in case if you don't want this alert to be triggered for a certain period of time, say that John is on a long leave, or if he is involved in a research task that actually requires YouTube consumption, then you can easily disable this alarm profile to avoid false positive. All you have to do is just switch off this toggle. Yes. So now that's pretty much about our session. Firewall Analyzer is a policy configuration monitoring tool. It helps you identify policy anomalies, unused rules, and objects. It also enables in-depth rule impact analysis for any new proposed rule. This will help optimize firewall performance, and it has out-of-the-box compliance reports. So all these listed features I just told, we covered this in the previous session, and what we looked at today was the VPN report, security analytics, traffic analytics, and how such reports can help perform forensic log analysis. Lastly, we also explored how to create alarm profiles for various violations in your network. So that summarizes the part 1 and part 2 of this free training. Next on this slide, we have the basic information on how to contact us. So you can always reach us through email at fwanalyzer-support@manageengine.com, or if you wish to talk to us, you can call the numbers shown on the screen. In addition, we also have a forum where network admins discuss their issues and our technicians answer them. This is called Pitstop, and it is available at pitstop.manageengine.com. This is common for all ManageEngine products, and under the Firewall Analyzer section, you can see all the discussions related to network security and firewall analyzers happening. Finally, we also have an exhaustive help documentation on our website. If there is a feature you want to know about more or want to understand in depth, you can always look us up at help/index.html under Firewall Analyzer. If you still have any questions, this is a gentle reminder to type your questions in the Q&A section, and we'll have them answered right away by our panelists. We will also be sharing this complete presentation with you post this session, so you will have all of this information in your email. Next, we are also listed on G2 and Capterra platforms. If you are an evaluator or an existing customer who joined in to see the new features released in Firewall Analyzer, I would request you to share your feedback about the product on both or either of these platforms. And as a token of thank you for your time and effort, we will be giving you a $25 gift card. And then, if you'd like to learn more about VPN and get the best out of our VPN monitoring features, we have several ebooks available on our website. So you can download these for free from our website as well. And we have also developed a mobile app. This is available both on Play Store and the App Store. So you can connect to your desktop setup to have the dashboard access for your network security overview, which means you do not have to carry your laptop every time you leave your office. And finally, we have a disclaimer regarding security. With respect to customer security and data protection, ManageEngine assures you that we take customer security and data privacy very seriously. We make sure that all customer data stays protected at all costs. And finally, thank you so much for joining us today. I hope this training was useful and that you learned something new.